Hey Campfire Colorado subscribers, and welcome back to Arapahoe County, Colorado. I'm Matt Connolly. We're outside of the state GOP headquarters today. I'm so excited to have with us Leader Kevin McCarthy and Barbara Kirkmeyer, who's running in Colorado's brand new...
Okay, tell us, which ones you're more excited over?
Well,
I gotta go to be the member.
I gotta go with the hometown girl, for sure. We're very happy to have you, Leader McCarthy, as well. Barb, you're running in the brand new 8th Congressional District. There's a lot going on up there. There's two issues that are huge issues to the voters here in Colorado. One of them being fentanyl, and one of them being energy issues up there. Leader McCarthy, you see this on the national level all the time. With your commitment to America, you just rolled out to address these two issues. I'm going to start with you.
Just so happens I have a copy.
You have a copy with you. Perfect, perfect. I'm going to start with you and ask this question. Fentanyl, it's pouring over our southern border. The supplies are coming from China. The Chinese Communist Party is sending them over here. Do you consider the Chinese Communist Party sending this over to poison our citizens an act of aggression on their part?
No, it definitely is. They send the chemicals to Mexico. The cartels are making a fortune coming across. It's now affecting every community in America. 300 people will be poisoned and died today. That's the equivalent of an airliner crashing. If an airliner crashed 3 days in a row, the entire nation would say there's a crisis. That's what's happening today. In my hometown of Bakersfield, just a couple weeks ago, in the junior high, 13 and 14-year-olds, one of them brought 150 pills. But what's scary now, especially we're coming up on Halloween, they're now making it look like kids' candy, Skittles and others. And it's laced in every type of drug. It is the #1 killer of Americans between the ages of 18 and 45. They're killing our next generation. This has got to stop. And the Democrats will fight us when we try to make sure it's a Schedule I drug.
Yep.
They're in the majority, but we will change all that when we become the majority, and Barb will help lead that.
It is truly terrifying, especially the impact on kids. We've seen it here in Colorado. Barb, in the 8th Congressional District, one of the largest, most lethal at the time overdoses of 5 Coloradans was in Commerce City.
Correct.
Not only did they overdose, but a baby was left in a crib while the overdose had occurred for possibly a day or longer. This is your district. Your opponent has voted to decriminalize fentanyl here in the state of Colorado.
Right. Yeah.
How do you plan to address this issue in the campaign with your opponent and then in DC?
Head on. I'm going to address it head on with her. You know, she did. She passed a bill, or worked past a bill that decriminalized it. In my mind, she might as well have legalized fentanyl. And it's not just a drug, it's a poison. You know, and we had the opportunity in this last legislative session to get it right, to listen to law enforcement. And, you know, everybody says, oh, we respect law enforcement, until we don't, right? And in our legislature, and my opponent, she didn't vote to get possession down to 0. Possession and distribution are the same. We need to get it down to 0. Because Leader McCarthy's right. It's not only killing people, you know, in our districts throughout. We had a 382% increase in the number of fentanyl overdoses in this state because of a law she voted for. And then she wouldn't even fix it. That's ridiculous. And just recently, you know, we talk about people overdosing and that issue, and
Yep.
people are thinking it's a recreational drug, I guess. I don't know what they're doing, but just recently in the city of Greeley, we had 2 law enforcement agents who were basically poisoned by fentanyl when they inhaled it, when they were
so
apprehending.
lethal.
Yeah, thank God they knew what was happening, and they made it to the hospital in time. Now it's impacting our law enforcement agencies as well.
You know, in that junior high, the student, when he brought those 150, the counselor that found it out of his pocket, they had to call an ambulance because he started to OD, just absorbing
Yes.
through that.
And on
it is
top
so
of it,
lethal. It's
it's
in
horrible.
every drug. Well, we're finding kids in college that go on Snapchat and buy a Xanax or buy something to help them stay up to study, and they're not waking up.
Yeah.
One pill kills. But I cannot believe someone would vote to lower.
Yeah, we made it a misdemeanor.
That's appalling.
Up to 4 grams.
How-
Up to 4 grams of fentanyl,
How many-
coke, methane, and heroin.
How many people are going to die based upon that simple vote?
Well, and then to stay on this topic for a second, in Colorado especially, we have the I-25 corridor, which runs through the state. We've seen, I've talked to DAs and the DEA here in Colorado, that the crime from the drug cartels, the crime that comes along with this explosion of fentanyl in the state. I mean, we're #1 in auto thefts in the country here in Colorado, not a statistic you want to lead in. How much of this, Leader McCarthy, comes down to securing that southern border?
All of it. This is where fentanyl comes from. You can talk to anyone from the DEA to the FBI. They will tell you it starts in China, goes to Mexico, and these cartels are becoming so wealthy, moving drugs and human trafficking. And the sad part about this, the Democrats will do nothing about it. It wasn't like this a couple years ago. And now we have a president who's been in office for more than 40 years. He's never even visited the border. But you know what else we're catching on the border? People on the terrorist watch list. You wonder, why are they coming here? What do they have planned? Who are they talking to?
Yep. To look at this race for a moment in Colorado, you're here, you're campaigning for Barb. It's very exciting. We have a brand new 8th Congressional District created here out of redistricting. You're obviously campaigning today. You're investing in the state in Barb's race. How do you feel about this race?
I feel great. First and foremost, the quality of the candidate. For Barb willing to run, you just look at her character and look what she's been able to achieve. As a commissioner, to take a debt and take it to zero, what that saves for taxpayers, the cost of living that goes down, then her leadership in the Senate. And when you really think of this district, it comes to the forefront of really what's on commitment to America, making us energy independent. I mean, there's no greater contrast here. We just watched what happened with OPEC, that this president had made us dependent on other countries instead of looking to America and helping us be energy independent, and we could have other countries dependent upon us. We'd create more jobs, it'd be more environmentally sound. American natural gas is 41% cleaner than Russian natural gas. Barb is a leader when it comes to this. Her opponent works against the energy industry.
She doubled down.
She does.
Think about that. She's against energy and she wants fentanyl on the streets.
Yeah, and she's against agriculture on top of it all.
It is quite the combination. It defies common sense, these policies. As Leader McCarthy alluded to, your opponent has actually voted for legislation and policies that would help crush Colorado's energy industry, and especially in the
She did more than vote for it. She was the prime sponsor of the bill that killed the energy industry in our state. This district sits right on top of the 5th most producing oil and gas field in the nation. She killed those jobs. She killed the industry. We went from 5,100 permits being permitted in a year by the state down to 22 this year. She killed the industry.
It is radical.
How many families have lost their house? How many jobs? But also, she put this country in a bad position.
Yes.
Now we have to wonder what OPEC, what Russia and Saudi Arabia.
We no longer control our future here.
It is stunning. It is stunning what they have intentionally done to this country in D.C.
on the very
and then
first
in
day.
Denver here as well.
Well, and if I could add to that, I mean, when you talk about rules and regulations, in this state, we have the most robust rules in the nation when it comes to air quality and water quality, any environmental regulation, right? So if we've got the most robust rules in the nation, we've got the most robust rules in the world. We're producing
the other countries
energy,
are not going to
and she
produce
kills
it like we do.
Leader McCarthy, to ask you a question on a few national topics here real quick. Should Republicans take control of the House, you'll be Speaker McCarthy. Anthony Fauci, Hunter Biden, the origins of the coronavirus. There's a lot of people and topics to be investigated coming up next year. Where are you going to start?
Well, we're first going to start on the very first day. Barb's going to cast a vote to repeal 87,000 IRS agents. Because you know what? Government should be there to help you, not to go after you, especially the middle class of what they want to go after. Then we're going to make the economy that is strong. Energy independence, bring those supply chain back from China to America. Then we're going to go after and make sure our nation that's safe. Go after fentanyl, secure our border. Don't defund the police, but fund the police. Then we're going to have a future that's built on freedom, a parent's bill of rights, so parents have a say in their kids' education. And then we're going to have a government that's accountable. Those are exactly what we're talking about. We have a responsibility. Why don't we know where COVID originated from? Why don't we know what happened in Afghanistan those last 2 months? So that never gets repeated again. Right? Why don't we know what the DOJ, why did he go after parents and call them terrorists simply because they went to a school board meeting? You've got to rein in the government that goes after that. And I believe you want to have a check and balance. And that's exactly what we're going to be able to do.
Yes, sir. One more question on the international level. Joe Biden 2 days ago said that the world is closer to nuclear Armageddon than it ever has been since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Those are very aggressive words coming from the President of the United States, a president who has led us to this moment in the world. What's your reaction to those comments?
It reminds me of what Secretary Gates had always said. For 40 years, he's always made the wrong foreign policy decision. And you watch, a White House had to walk it back again. But this is dangerous what he does. Remember what he did before Putin invaded. He said, well, if he invades a little bit, it won't be that big a deal. There's so many things of actions that he has gone wrong that's put us in this jeopardy. On the very first day when he ended a pipeline, when he stopped letting leases go forward, he put America in jeopardy, raised our price of gas, created more inflation, but made us dependent on other countries when, haven't you learned anything about Europe? We shouldn't be dependent on anybody else, especially what God provided to America. We'd have stronger jobs, America economically would be stronger, gas would be lower, and the world would be safer. I believe that's what we need to do, but he and his foreign policy has been a misstep after a misstep. Look what he did in Afghanistan. Refused to listen to his own military advisors, created 13 more Gold Star families where there was not one person dying in the last 16 months. And then in one of the biggest embarrassments for America on a foreign policy basis, and harmed all of our relationship with our allies. I just watched the president of France talk about what Biden said was a misstatement, once again, putting the country in jeopardy by taking these positions that are wrong.
Amen to that. Our last question, we ask this to everyone that Campfire sits down with. Campfire Colorado is a conservative voice for the people. Barb, I'm going to start with you. When you go to DC, how will you remain humble? How will you make sure that you are serving the people back here in Colorado and not the politicians in Washington, DC?
So I come from a local government background, served as a county commissioner. You know, when I walk into the store, when I go to one of my grandson's soccer games or football games, people know who I am and they don't hesitate to walk up and start talking to me. So I've been out in the community for a number of years. They know who I am. They know how to get in touch with me. And the other thing is, I have 6 grandsons. They range in age from 3 to 12. And it doesn't take long for that 10-year-old or that 12-year-old to call me up and it's like, Graham, I just saw another one of your ads on TV. And I said, are you sure it was one of mine? He goes, well, maybe not. They made you look like a witch. So they keep me grounded all the time.
I love that. I love that. Leader McCarthy, you may be Speaker McCarthy in a few months here.
Let's hope so.
How do you maintain humility in that role? How do you make sure that you're serving the people back home in California, in your district, but then also you have the responsibility to serve the people of the entire country?
You know, if you ever come to my office and you pull out the center drawer of my desk, there's a handwritten note that I've written and put right in the desk. Nobody in Washington can vote for me. Everybody should remember that. It's your district. You vote your district, you vote your conscience, you represent the Constitution, and that's what guides you. You watch, I'm here today because this race is so important. Yeah. I'm here today because I'm concerned about where the nation is. This district, when you look at the energy, the agriculture, the challenges that they have with all the others, to think, if her opponent was elected, it'd be another vote for Nancy Pelosi, but it'd be a vote to make more fentanyl. It'd be a vote to put America more dependent and a gasoline price even higher. We need a new direction. And that's really what a commitment to America and Barb is all about, a new direction for America.
Amen to that. Thank you both so much for being here. Thank you, Campfire Colorado subscribers, for tuning in. If you want to have exclusive access to this interview, make sure you sign up for our morning newsletter, Campfire Coffee. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.